Hello everyone, Shroom here, and welcome to Lost Media Friday. I know there wasn't one last week. Well, I don't know. It really didn't look that good, and I may release it later, but not now. So, essentially, it's lost media of itself now. I may release it on ShroomTube 2.0 though, as an archive video, but we'll save that for later. But now we're getting into this week. We're covering something different. If you were wondering what that was, the teaser tweet found out. If you were to see the teaser tweet, it would say this week's Lost Media Friday is going to be more phenomenal, meaning we were going to cover the Power Rangers pilot, the Mighty Morphin pilot. Since it's actually found now, I guess it's not Lost Media anymore, so it may never be released, or it might be. At least what I have of it. So, of course, that's a decision for me to make. I may release it this Monday on ShroomTube 2.0, so yeah, I'm still thinking about it though. If you want to see it released, comment below. So now let's get into this. So for this week, Thomas and the Magic Railroad. Yeah, Thomas and the Magic Railroad was pretty much a box office flop, with the prime reason being, among many others, the really weird, bizarre storyline that was in the final version that was unexplained and so bizarre, as the Nostalgia Critic said in his review. Well, you Nostalgia Critic fans are going to find out why it was so bizarre, and that was because of angry moms. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, these angry moms and their kids were in a test screening of the original uncut version, which was actually 110 minutes long, whereas the final movie is just 85. After seeing this, they wanted many things removed from the film, including a very major character named P.T. Boomer, played by Canadian actor Doug Lennox. He was deemed too frightening for the younger audiences, therefore was entirely cut out of the film. Because of P.T. Boomer's absence from the final film, the plot elements that had been driven by him went unexplained. P.T. Boomer is described in the original cut of the script as a drifter through choice, and was intended to be Burnett Stone's adversary, the real culprit responsible for why Lady went too fast and crashed, not Diesel 10, as altered in the final cut. Jealous of the relationship that Burnett had with Tasha, Lily's grandmother, Boomer bullied Burnett into allowing him to take Lady for a run and crashing her in revenge. After the accident, Boomer fled Indian Valley, and Burnett spent years trying to restore her with no avail, as in the final film. He returns now, a good 40 years later, a bitter and dark character, hell-bent on completing his revenge by finding and destroying Lady for good. When audience complained about him being too scary, a weird claim when the secondary villain is literally a diesel with a claw, he was cut out at the last minute, explaining the laziness of the movie's final cut. This cut was so close to the release that one of the previews even contained Boomer briefly, falling off the viaduct along with Diesel 10. Coloring books contained references to him by name as well. Boomer was seen in the movie in the form of two cameos. Part of his confrontation with Burnett is seen by a distance as Stacy and Lily arrive in their car. Audibly, the scene is redubbed so Burnett is giving direction to a lost biker. The biker, clad in an overcoat, presents a dark contrast and appears somewhat menacing. Boomer is also visible at the back of Diesel 10's cab during the chase scene toward the end. The original ending had Boomer land on the back of Diesel 10 through the magic buffers. Because of the cuts that gave Britt Allcraft's original story substance and were filmed with Peter Fonda as Burnett Stone and Russell Means as Billy Two Feathers, plus Cody McCain as Patch, were not released in the release version because of references to P.T. Boomer. The movie scenes with these cuts were either cut or altered. In addition, the test audience made the response that Means' role was too hard to understand. Britt Allcraft found this shocking, as he hardly was, and he spoke with the voice of his history. Various theatrical and home media trailers of the movie had depicted characters with voices largely differing from their voices in the original cuts. During production, it was widely publicized online that an Isle of Man cab driver and volunteer firefighter named John Bellows was to be the voice of Thomas the Tank Engine. Having only heard him utter a meager few words, Britt knew that John was the right man to voice Thomas himself. Turning to tell her colleagues, "I've just heard the voice of Thomas. This man is exactly how Thomas would sound." A few days later, she offered John the part, and he accepted. Despite this voice actor being flown out to Toronto, Canada to record all of Thomas's lines, the American moms have struck again. "Thomas sounds too old." And thus, John Bellis was canned. Thomas's voice was later performed in the final cut by Canadian voice actor Eddie Glenn. Here's a sample of Eddie Glenn as Thomas.
That's what buffers are for, to stop engines from crashing.
Bellis was apparently disappointed by this, and to the point where he refuses to really discuss the matter with fans who have contacted him to ask him about it. The same trailers depicted Diesel 10 with a gruff English upper-class accent as opposed to the New Jersey accent he had in the theatrical release. Soda Island forums ended up digging up the information that Diesel 10 was actually originally voiced by Australian voice actor Keith Scott, but this voice was deemed too frightening by the American moms. Thus, Canadian actor Neil Crone was then brought in to do the voice of Diesel 10, where he gave him a Russian-like accent. Then the audiences did it again. He sounds too offensive! And Crone revised his voice to a New Jersey accent. Britt Allcroft revealed that the original voice intended for James and Percy was Michael Angelis, the narrator of the actual Thomas show from 1991 to 2012. English actor Patrick Breen had originally provided the voices for both Dodge and Splatter. Both of them were canned by the test audiences. Susan Roman and Linda Ballantyne replaced Angelis as James and Percy respectively, whereas Neil Crone and Kevin Frank replaced Breen. What was also revealed is that Lily, 20 years later after the events of Thomas and the Magic Railroad, was originally meant to be the narrator, as opposed to Mr. Conductor, played by Alec Baldwin, in the final cut. The whole movie was meant to be told by an adult Lily and Patch, played by Robert Tinkler, to be their child. I think that same Robert Tinkler is the voice of Jenga in Beyblade, the Metal Saga. I think so, yeah. He also does that weird guy on Almost Naked Animals, too, so... yeah, that shit was horrible, let's be honest here. A scene toward the end shows the family in a panning shot of the Pennsylvania fields. The movie also contained flashback scenes of young Burnett, Jared Law, and young Tasha Laura Barra, which ended up getting cut due to some involving P.T. Boomer. The scenes are only audibly heard in the movie through Burnett's imagination. And that's pretty much the description of this lost work print of Thomas and the Magic Railroad. But there are some existing deleted scenes out there. The one commercially deleted scene from that original work print was called Summer Sunday. This scene was pretty insignificant, though. It was just a longer version of like the junior scene from the final cut. But this one is a pretty big one. It's the original chase scene with P.T. Boomer on the top of Diesel 10 that was altered in the final cut. So, however, the person who uploaded this put another song over it from the 1998 movie Dark City. It was very overbearing, thus making the dialogue being pretty much unable to be heard. So I will play this scene for you right now. Enjoy. I know you're not going to be able to hear it, but I don't care. As long as we've got the scene, that's good. The next thing we have here is a Japanese promotional video for Thomas and the Magic Railroad containing some boomer scenes and a few deleted scenes as well. So, essentially, now don't worry, the announcer is in English. The only thing that's Japanese in this video is the subtitles. So, enjoy this one. This is another archive. Enjoy.
You've probably heard people talk about it, but have you ever been there? It's a magical place that's not on any map. Come with us and we'll show you the way. And all you have to bring is your imagination. For one little girl,
You're coming with me to Grandpa's, Bluebird.
it began as just another trip to visit her grandfather.
Do you want me to get off here?
And right from the start,
Hello, Lily.
Hi, Grandpa.
she knew that this wasn't going to be an ordinary journey.
It is a very important day.
Now, she's making new friends.
I'm Patch. I'm Lily. You ever ridden a horse before?
She's hearing old stories.
This engine's name is Lady. She's as precious as gold. It's because she's magic.
And she's discovering
Trains, talking trains. I'm off to see them right now on the island of Soda and cousin. Do you want to come?
What do you think, Mutt?
a wondrous new world
What's that noise?
The trains, I told you they talk.
where the people are fantastic.
The universe of the entire conductor family is in jeopardy. You have to help me find the source of all our family's gold dust.
But I'm waiting on the perfect wave.
The trains are friendly. And the possibilities are endless.
It's a beautiful day.
Until evil threatens the island of Sodor.
Gonna get my revenge, you and that engine.
And she must find the magic
And I know that your grandpa could help if he would just believe that he could.
that will bring a legend to life.
Special coal from the island of Sodor. That's what Lady needs.
Climb aboard for the most amazing adventure of them all.
I will be responsible, reliable, really useful.
With Peter Fonda, Maura Wilson, and Alec Baldwin as Mr. Conductor. Thomas and the Magic Railroad.
The next thing we have here are a few screenshots from the original version. Some of these include, some PT Boomer stuff. We got some deleted scene stuff, unused stuff. So, in a slideshow, here you go. More about that Japanese promotional video. It turns out the scenes that Boomer is in, the scenes that Boomer is involved in are. There's one scene of Boomer sitting on the mountainside while seemingly stating, "I'll get my revenge." The audio lacks a little bit of clarity. One of him carrying explosives, and one of the explosion he set off that would eventually send Thomas off the mountainside. A deleted scene of Burnett Stone making a birdhouse, of which I showed the screenshot of, one of them at least. One of the scenes that Burnett's building a birdhouse can be found in on the Making of Thomas and the Magic Railroad from the German DVD release. On August 4th, 2014, a higher quality version was uploaded by the Thomas Archive channel TTTE Archives. The trailer was discovered to have been sourced from a Japanese Doraemon VHS. The trailer is in full English, but with Japanese subtitles, as you saw before. Of course, to this day, the film lies within the company vaults of Sony. Several petitions have been made, such as #RestoreTheMagic, have been made urging Destination Films and Sony Films to release the work print of the movie. All in jest, Britt Allcroft does what's in her power to constantly release what she can. Were a work print release possible, she would try to get it released. Part of the reason the work print can't be released is that it contains a temp track, meaning music from other productions that are used to set the tone for composer reference. Even so, Thomas and the Magic Railroad was a box office flop, and if one were possible, it is unlikely it would get released anyhow. So I'm not saying it's not going to be released, but it's just going to be hard to release. Plus, because of these Angry Moms cuts, and the film being a failure, Britt Allcroft was fired from her own company, and the company's name was later changed to Ghislaine something, I don't know, but still. It's so sad to see that a movie she worked on for a long time get cut up by these angry moms. And well, I don't know if the kids were angry. They pretty much were just watching the movie. I think they probably enjoyed it. I mean, like, I remember, this is something from my childhood. I remember watching this movie when I was a kid. I liked it because I was a kid and I didn't understand movie criticism. But now I know that it was a box office flop and that this director's cut was much better than the final cut. And it made much, much more sense. So now you know why the Nostalgia Critic said what he said. So, yeah, this film's cuts got Britt Allcroft fired from her own company. And, yeah, so if one of you angry moms who saw this film out there watching, this is what your cuts have done. And, well, essentially that's it, I guess. So, yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and sparkle, sparkle, sparkle!
Yeah, sparkle, sparkle, sparkle. Whoa, yeah! You're right, yeah!